To the Middle East, the U.S. striking Iran for the seventh straight night, hammering key coastal infrastructure targets.
The Iranians also carrying out attacks on America's Gulf allies as the regime threatens to carry out a full-scale offensive.
Madeline Rivera, Strait of Hormuz. Their aim is to isolate the IRGC from resupplying. CENTCOM touted the destruction of one observation tower in particular, which they say significantly weakens the IRGC's ability to coordinate attacks on ships. The U.S. is denying Iran's claim that it's hitting civilian infrastructure, arguing it's been striking military targets with one goal in mind.
I think what we're in the process of doing is making it impossible for the regime to control the Strait of Hormuz from that same landmass, from the islands, from the littoral area that borders the strait itself, and then further inland where the roads and bridges and railroads are at, their ability to move supplies not only around the country, but into and out of the country.
On the other hand, the U.S. says Iran has been the bad actor, carrying out these attacks on civilian ships and damaging a water desalination plant in Kuwait. Iran is refusing to back down, carrying out retaliatory attacks on U.S. targets in the Gulf region. An advisor to Iran's supreme leader saying if U.S. strikes continue for several more days, we will move into a phase of full-scale offensive operations. But as Iran tries to assert control over the Strait of Hormuz, CENTCOM is refuting the regime's claim that two oil tankers were sunk. CENTCOM saying, like most IRGC claims, this is false. Nevertheless,
Serious pressure, but certainly no hope whatsoever that that the peace deal that they were working on is going to work at this point.
Yeah, but I think people have to also remember these are not reasonable people, right? That we're dealing with in Iran, and I think the president deserves so much credit for what he's actually been able to do. Look, if this was easy, previous presidents would have done it, but this president has taken it on. Obviously, now they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They're not going to be able to develop a nuclear weapon at this point, which is great for the whole world. But you look at where they are right now. Yes, they're economically, in dire straits, but they really are so depleted otherwise. The president always talks about the fact that their military is so depleted. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have strategically taken out their missile production sites, their missile sites. All of it has lent itself to a place where I think the U.S. is in the best position to see something positive happen here. It was never going to be easy. It was never going to be clean. But, then they put out statements like, oh, we're going to go on the offensive. With what? It's kind of, you expect it to be a lot of lies from these people.
No, that's exactly right, Laura. I mean, remember Baghdad Bob during the early days of the Iraq War saying, we've got him right where we want him. And of course, that was all propaganda. Yeah. That's what you're seeing out of the IRGC. And the head of the IRGC, Ahmad Vahidi, who was originally the first commander of the Quds Force, going all the way back to the previous Ayatollah's regime, that now you are seeing the fact that when we had negotiators at the table in Pakistan and the foreign minister and the speaker of the parliament that were trying to do this memorandum of understanding, you had the IRGC and Vahidi that simply wasn't willing to stop. Yeah. And now we are at the Battle of Hormuz.